Look, this is just an informal chat. We were wondering what you were working on in your lab.
Well, I've invented a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends.
Right, and what's positive about that?
Well, it's a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends.
Well, could it also give worms to ex-boyfriends?
This is a drug for the world to give worms to ex-girlfriends.
Well, great. Thanks for stopping by.
You just don't get it here.
High pepperito, give you hyper-diarrhea. High pepperito, give me hyper-diarrhea. Whoa, give me hyper-diarrhea. Whoa, give me hyper-diarrhea. Whoa, give me hyper-diarrhea. Can't eat as in high pepperito. Give me hyper-diarrhea.
The shinola on that one. All right. Now, I would like to address this arts funding issue. Now, this all reminds me of a humorous story of the traveling salesman. Let's say that the taxpayer is a farmer and the government is a salesman. Well, the farmer says you can spend the night in my barn, but do me a favor, don't stick your willy into any of the 3 holes in the wall. Well, in this case, the salesman's willy represents the taxpayer's money, you understand. Well, the government, like the salesman, can't help himself. Sticks his willy in the first hole, it feels good. Sticks his willy in the second hole, it feels even better. Sticks his willy in the third hole, and it hurts like hell, and it won't let go. Well, in the morning, the farmer comes out and he explains. Behind the first hole was my wife. Behind the second hole was my daughter. And behind the third hole was a milking machine that don't let go till it gets 50 gallons. Gentlemen, I propose that this arts funding is like a milking machine, and unless we shut it down, it's going to rip our dicks right off.
Tonight's show is brought to you by the new U.S. government, improving the arts by severely limiting them.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Fantastic Comics Presents. This is our 49th episode. This is weekly. I guess we skipped a couple weeks somewhere down the line. We were doing This Whole Everything. And we renumbered and did some silly shenanigans with that. And here we are with Fantastic Comics Presents. For those of you that are here for the first time, we are a live show that talks about comic books every Tuesday at 8 p.m. I am Yule. I own Fantastic Comics in Berkeley, California. We're open Tuesday through Saturday, 12 to 5 p.m. You can see us on social media. Check out our eBay store. It's all Fantastic Comics. All the time. And if you are here for the first time and are interested in watching other episodes, definitely check some of them out. But you will not be able to see the last episode, the 48th episode, which was a Festivus-themed episode. We talked a lot about Seinfeld, and I had a lot of clips, and we made it for the whole show, just about. I guess we just did one too many. I didn't even get a warning from eBay. They usually say, oh, you've used something that's going to demonetize you. Your channel's not in jeopardy in any way, but if you ever make money off this, it's going to go to, some recording studio, artists, RCA, something like that, or a movie, but they just were not happy with the entirety, I guess, of the Seinfeld clips. And so that episode is lost to YouTube. It is not lost to Patreon members. So if you are a Patreon member, I am going to upload it onto there, and you just give what you will, and you can watch it then. It was a pretty good episode. Me and Jeff and Jill, who's in the other room. I don't know if she said anything yet. Let's see. There she is. Whichever you prefer. It doesn't even matter. She guest starred with us, and we talked about 2 episodes of Seinfeld. The Festivus episode, which is actually entitled The Strike. It's where Kramer's his strike is over from the bagel shop that he worked at 10 years ago. And then the other episode was one that I'm fond of. It's called The Wigmaster, and it has a pretty memorable end scene, and it all builds from the very beginning, and I rather enjoy that. And it's a shame that it's not out there, or that I didn't get in trouble. The channel's still here, obviously, but it's not, they weren't happy. I don't know. I guess if I was bigger, or, an influencer, or, I actually had channels, or reached out, or found out if you were able to do that. It's probably just something that's a little check mark. All right, these guys are going to do this. But I don't have the time for that. I can barely clip comic books together so that you can see pictures on the screen when I talk about them. And even when I do that, something else screws up. Yes. So if you haven't figured it out, I am by myself tonight. I'm here with you, though. So if you have something that you want to let me, if when I'm sharing comics with you, I'll be sharing screen. If you want to say something, I will be on my phone tablet and just at Yule Carter, like Fantinuum did right here. And I'll see it. I'll pay attention a little bit more. Speaking of Fantinuum, let's say hi to the chat. Hello, chat. How y'all doing? Fantinium wants to know, did Santa bring you what you wanted? And Moby was here on time for once. All right, Moby. Stay tuned. I have a little bit of information about the store and Marvel comic books. And no, I was not having any technical issues. Please. I know what's going on. If you can hear me now, I'm doing all right. I saw some other people. I saw Joe was here. He didn't get anything. Where was that? Santa didn't bring me crap. I am sorry about that, Joe. It sucks when you don't get stuff from Santa. Santa and Satan. We all knew that, right? So was there a Satan clause? Has anybody done anything like that? There's got to have been somebody that did that. All right, so let's see what the ats say. At Yule, you should make an extra show just so it's worth an even. I can do that. We can get a couple more out before the end of the year. In fact, maybe I'll just do 2-a-days, like the old football high school days. 2-a-day drills. I want to let you know I almost died one of those. Let's just say there was a bathtub full of ice, and I did not feel good that day. I can't say this. IWK83, hello. Who else? That looks like it. Jill, Fantinuum, Moby, and everybody in the future, hello. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to talk about what some of my favorite comics of 2020 were. It's been a strange year, unprecedented, of course. I figure you have to say that. I got to at least be able to say that once. You know what I've never said on air is at the end of the day, it's still the end of the year. I'm not too into that cliche at the end of the day. It does rhyme. It's easy to say. It just really does roll off your tongue once you finally said it. The floodgates are open. Oh, Dana Carvey did. Yes, probably. I am assuming that was like a church lady skit. And nobody to answer me. It takes longer because of the delay. So the comic book store. Let's get this out of the way really quick. Our diamond shipment is going to be received sometime tomorrow. That usually means the end of the day. We'll be closed. So chances are, if you were in line for a Spider-Man, it's not going to come until the following day, Thursday. And we're not quite sure. I'm sorry we're so wishy-washy on this. If anybody in chat is going to show up that day, Friday, I'll open. But if not, there's a very good chance we're not going to open on Friday. I'm not really into drinking, but I definitely want to stay up for the new year. It feels like one of those things that I should probably do for some reason. I don't know why, but who's excited about the next year? Anybody out there? Is there something in comic books that you're excited about? Something you're looking forward to? Is it just the ability to keep going out and purchasing comic books when you can't really go out and just purchase? I mean, going out to purchase things isn't really one of those things that I don't do it. I mean, grocery store, comic book store. Thankfully, I own the comic book store. I don't have to go to another one. I feel like a lot of the people that are coming in, that is like really one of the only extravagances that they are allowing themselves. I definitely have a customer, her family, they come in, get their comic books. She gave us a nice little Christmas card and wrote in it and said that we were the only people to have any sort of conversation with. I feel like one of the reasons is, those record stores just aren't the way they used to be pre-COVID. Everything I'm talking about right now is pre-COVID. We saw that movie sales were decreasing in the theater. And if it wasn't a Disney movie, there wasn't anything that was really making $1 billion. Of course, whenever it's like the big conglomerates are making crazy amounts of money, there's always something like a horror movie or a romance or a rom-com or something that steps up. There's always a ghost. Is that what it was called? There's always that. That can come out. There's horror movies like Saw, in the, it's the big blockbuster summer movie that's going to dominate. And of course, some of them make the money they're supposed to, but then those little ones it costs nothing to make and they made a ton of money. Go figure. And it feels like comics are that way, kind of sliding that way. Less and less people were purchasing them in our store. I could chart our highest selling comic book and see how it decreased over the years. Definitely series as they've relaunched and, changed teams and didn't keep any real consistency, or even when they did, wasn't really exciting everybody. Or as they tried to, and I'm talking about mainstream comics now. Case in point, let's talk about Ms. Marvel. She was very popular in our store and we sold it very well. But when they eventually, Marvel tried to incorporate her in the big stories that cross over with the rest of the Marvel universe, they were introducing new people to a character that, they're not experienced with Marvel shenanigans. And when they stop a title and relaunch it and tie it in with all this other stuff, I don't know if I really care about that. You have to really be involved in comic books already to care about that type of thing. You can't just spring that on a new reader who there was Squirrel Girl Marvel. They were like, oh, this is Squirrel Girl's first crossover. Who cares about Squirrel Girl's first crossover? That's horrible. You should never have had that. Squirrel Girl exists in its own, like, you know, fantastic universe within the, but maybe not. I guess it depends on what you care about or what the Marvel's editors care about. I had a nice little banner for what was going to be on the show today, but I screwed up and didn't save it, so it really doesn't matter. Did I tell you that I own a comic book store? That's me, Yule, right there. We've been in business since 2011 in Berkeley. We followed Comic Relief on Shattuck Avenue. About a month after they closed down, finally we moved in, and we've been there trying to keep, you know, comics in Berkeley, downtown Berkeley, and it's been quite a chore. There were some really cool rewards from it. Like, I felt like a big deal, but I don't know if that really mattered. It never really mattered to me, so I never really took advantage of it, I guess. I'm trying to now, later on, when it's not as important, but stay tuned. I've got an interview that I'm going to be doing with a comic creator, and that should be fun. It'll be Patreon first, of course. Try and get that moving again, so we can actually add something for you that help our store out without actually putting money into it. Like buying comics, I mean, you know, giving the Patreon. We obviously do the show, and if you are appreciative of us, you can just leave a tip in there. It doesn't have to be a monthly charge, but it helps to keep the comic store alive, which is not something that's out there so readily these days, unless you're online, and, you know, most people are. Oh, I'll just get my comic books online. But I bet, you know, some customers, I need them that day. I can't wait. Or, you know, maybe I care about the condition of the book. It is collecting. You know, you don't want someone fingering your coins, your mint coins, before you can, at least. And it's the same way with comic books or records. You know, and someone just like scratching your record before. I'm gonna at least look at it and see if it looks okay before I buy it. Maybe not in the record store, you know, like maybe at like a half price, you know, secondhand. Anyway, what am I saying? I don't know. Anybody have anything you want to ask me? Like I said, go ahead and say at Yule Carter, because I'll be looking at that with my phone. I'm going to share some pictures with you in just a moment. Why don't we go? Firstly, did you like that curling video I showed you? That was on Twitter. Twitter is not always a bad thing. Sometimes Twitter is a bad thing. And I am going to share screen. I've already looked at this. All right. This gentleman, Gleb Melnikov. I guess this was yesterday. He says right here, the 27th, it's 2 days ago. Oh, shoot. It says, please don't do this. You have 20 pages of superhero comic. You don't want to waste 3 of them on the exact same face over and over again. So here's what he's talking about. This comic came out a few months ago. It's Venom. I think it's Mark Bagley doing the artwork. It's pretty good, Mark Bagley, actually. I'm not a big fan of his. Anybody that comes into the store could probably tell you that I'm not a big fan of his. This doesn't look so bad. But he comes out and he talks about this, and everybody in comic books is like talking smack. I saw an editor of some like kids DC comic. I can't even remember what it was. I guess all DC comics are for kids, right? Except for Black Label. Came out and is like, just to let you know, editors are on Twitter. Say like, don't say anything stupid or else. But I guess employers do that. They'll look at Facebook posts or YouTube or all sorts of social media to see. I mean, if they're going to go through the hours and hours of stupid crap I've said on YouTube alone. I never say anything worse on YouTube than I do in real life. So if you really want true Yule, come on in and come on into the store. Just don't hang out too long unless you're buying something because, COVID. Anyway, dude got in trouble for this. The funny thing is that his comic book came out today, Ginny Hex. And I think it looked pretty good. It's written by Mags Visaggio and Gleb Melnikov. And yeah, it looks kind of like Ramos, and there's some Bogdanovich, Viktor Bogdanovich, who does Wolverine right now and did Silencer. And he has a very Greg Capullo look. And I think this page on the right looks a little Ramos-y. But then if you look here on the left right here, that looks very much like Capullo or Light, which would be that other dude I was saying, Bogdanovich. But this looks pretty good. There's some same facey stuff here, but there's gesture, there's shoulder shrugs, and not quite just the tilting of the faces, but it's all right. I like when you see panels laid out differently. So here, case in point, 1, 2, 3, 4, big 5, long 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still 6, but it's hard to lay out a page. I love Talking Heads comics, and I'm not talking about David Byrne. Vertigo started getting really Talking Headsy and a lot of nothing going on. But again, Melnikov is talking about a superhero comic book. I, in the 90s, read a lot of Vertigo. I read a lot of autobiographical stuff from Drawn and Quarterly. Here's a couple other pages of this. Looks pretty good. Here's Joe Matt. He's probably one of my favorites. He did a book called Peep Show, and it was only people sitting around walking and talking, but he tells the story so well. It's not just, the same face all the time and repetition over and over. I mean, again, it's just only talking is going on right here. I love Joe Matt. He's great. Look at even when it isn't just talking, and even it is, there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's not just a face all the time. I watched a video today. Perch. Let me bring that up. My banner of shows I like to watch on YouTube. If you can't get enough YouTube comic book shows, you should check out any one of these channels. I always say station. Channels. If you want to see me talk wrestling, go to the Talking Balls Network. But the one I'm talking about is Comics with Perch. And he was talking about this situation because, like I said, a lot of comic book pros were really shitting all over Gleb. And Gleb obviously hasn't completely found his way artistically. There's a lot of other people that are in his work. And I'm sure when he finally gets them out of his, mind completely, hopefully, he'll start becoming his own real comic book artist. So there's a lot to look forward to, as long as, these editors and pros don't hate him so much for saying something bad about superhero comics. But also that's kind of a true thing about superhero comics. I personally really can't stand when there's too much sitting around a table talking, unless it's like, you know, a war room. You know, if Cable isn't pointing a gun at somebody while Scott Summers is pointing at a map that's on a table with all these figures that Professor X or Magneto put there, I don't want to see that. No, I don't want any tea to be served, you know? Wolverine talks about going and getting a beer. I'm leaving this talking scene so I can go get a beer. A brewski, Charles. Chuck, you know? What happened to Joe Matt? He said something stupid on Facebook and people made fun of him. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was something to do with a mask. I could be wrong. Oh, that's cute. You got to admit, if he's like sitting right at the door looking at it, that is cute. Gizmo, for those of you that don't know, is my dog. I bring him in the store. This is what he looks like. Anyway, Gleb has like some, you know, he has some good chops. He has a style. You know, he's setting up pages. He obviously cares about, you know, not just putting forth that same regurgitated crap, but also probably like a new teacher that thinks they're going to change the world, or a person that's first to the comic book store. And you're like, oh, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna go go work at the comic store and I'm gonna just read comic books all day. And you know, it's like, nah, you're gonna just bag and board crap and maybe file some stuff if I let you, and in the bigger store, of course. There you go. Moby T says, Casually Comics is a great channel, funny and insightful. Unlike this one. Unlike this one. Actually, I'm talking about Joe Matt, so I don't know, other than maybe like cartoonist kayfabe, I can't imagine there. I would love to do a whole episode of a Joe Matt Peep Show comic, maybe just talk about the Drawn and Quarterly guys. Maybe I'll do that. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, so there you go. That's comics. That's Twitter for you. I got that one clip of the curling on Twitter, and then a comics pro opened his mouth on Twitter, and then everybody got all upset. Of course, you know, it's you probably don't want to like crap all over your colleagues. Recently in wrestling, JR, who is everybody pretty much puts him on the top of announcing. He even does like Oklahoma Sooner football games. So he's not just like a wrestling announcer. He's an all-around announcer. He's older now and he's suffered some strokes, so he's not as good as he was when he was solid. But and you know, he's also old-timey, so he doesn't totally translate for today's audiences all the time. And he was kind of talking smack about the wrestling, and he left it open-ended on who he was talking about, but it easily could have been people working in the organization he's with. And kind of like Gleb saying, you know, I don't like, you know, 20 panels straight of people's faces talking. What is this, the Tom King, Mitch Gerard's book? And then, of course, you know, Mitch Gerard's totally chimed in because it totally sounds like he's making fun of him. So there was a bunch of wrestlers who work for that organization that JR works for, and then they're like not happy, and they said so. You know, that's kind of a dick move, you know, talking smack about people that work for you, with you, you know, and all this other stuff. And it's like, well, you didn't really say anything, but of course, you know, in comic books, nobody cares. They're all contractors that work for anybody if they get the job. But usually you hang with a company for a while if your editors are there. The other thing about that DC editor, it's funny because like most of their senior staff have been fired over the course of this year. Earlier, it was like Mark Chiarello, who was like art director and has been there for like 20 years or something, maybe longer, but I don't know, maybe like as art director. And you kind of think like, you know, for a visual medium, you kind of want to have that that cohesiveness that a guy that's been in the industry and is a really great artist also, you know, brings to your, you know, to your organization. And then as that happened, you know, Dan Didio was gone. And then there have been 2 bloodbaths, people called them, as DC was firing senior editors. And now all these editors that are in place are people that were under the editors or sometimes assistant editors or sometimes whoever's below that person. So, yeah, there's been a lot of shakeup, and supposedly at the beginning of this year coming up, so 2021, everybody, brace yourself. DC is going to be letting some other people go. But it also seems that what it really is that talent hasn't been informed, but are now realizing because of solicitations that they're not in the future plans for the company, it seems. And also, DC is cutting down their titles. They have a bunch of creators still working on the books, and it would seem like, okay, well, that's going to be a lot of creators, so that's going to be a lot of books. And truly, that can be the case. But what it seems like is happening is the price for a monthly DC comic book is going to go up, but there are going to be more pages. And in those other pages are going to be family characters or backup stories with other characters. So maybe like in a Batman, there will be a Robin backstory or a Nightwing backstory, or maybe in Nightwing, there will be a Red Hood backstory or whatever the hell it may be. Justice League, when they come back, it's going to have Justice League Dark. So if you're a kind of person that was like, oh, I buy both Justice League and Justice League Dark, you're looking at saving money. But if you're the kind of person that only bought Justice League Dark, you're also going to be buying the Justice League comic book. And for anybody that doesn't read these comics, you're like, well, what's the difference? And the difference is that the Dark book has a little bit more of a magic element. So a Wonder Woman leads a team, but it has Zatanna, and it has probably the Demon involved, and some other magic characters I can't think of right now. And then Justice League is, you know, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, a Green Lantern. So Fantinium says, I'll be saving some major cash. Au contraire, like I said, they're going to be more. I mean, it probably what it is you're still going to be spending near the same amount, but it won't be as many things you'll be purchasing. So, you know, instead of 64 comics, you're still going to get all of that stuff and still be spending money on variant covers and things like that at a higher price, but it won't take up as much room, hopefully. DC Comics, hopefully we won't take up so much room. That's the that should be their motto. Comics Claptrap, by the way, is a channel on YouTube that obviously that a customer of mine does. He also was saying something about changing things up. Funny enough, I've been thinking about changing things up. I still like doing the weekly live stream, and this isn't so hard. I know I'm saying and I'm laughing a lot, but it's what you get. That was an not an that was an you get what you get. And there you go. There's another let me see, what do I want to say? Okay, let's talk about some comic books. I know you can all leave now. Let's see here. I want to talk about my incomplete comic book. All right, so here I'm going to share the screen. All right, here we go. Look at that. I don't think I've actually been able to talk about Department of Truth like I wanted to on this show for various reasons. But this is a series that just started up recently, so it would not be in the running of best of the year with only 4 issues. It has a very good start, and if it is as strong going into next year for, like, let's say 6 issues, assuming there's going to be an image break somewhere in between. So after the 6th issue, and then they could get like another 4 issues out. If they could do 6 or 8 issues that are really strong going in, throughout next year, this would probably be in the running. If you are interested in conspiracy theories and artwork that is kind of like Sienkiewicz, but kind of photorealistic, I guess. I don't know what that would be called. That's what Sienkiewicz kind of does. It's a little bit more computer feeling, and I didn't edit these pages. But it's cool. It reminds me of like I said, of Bill Sienkiewicz, Frank Miller, maybe like what I imagine American Flag was like back in the 80s. It's all about conspiracy theories and how if people believe in them, they actually can manifest. And there are people that are making things happen behind the scenes, blah, 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 blah. This guy down in the center here, the blonde person, is named Cole. He's a gay man. I wonder if I would love to see I would love to see a story where, because like it's a whole conspiracy and play into that whole, him being gay or something like that. That might be interesting. Like, is this a real thing? Has this really been but it's cool. It's got all sorts of really neat imagery, and I think it's a pretty solid book. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to totally go, but I'm pretty down. I haven't read this issue yet, but the first 3 have been pretty cool, and it's been enjoyed by people in the store, and it's increasing in sales. So definitely a book everybody should be looking at, especially when it comes out in trade. Crossover. This is written by Donny Cates, and there's only been 2 issues so far. That's the 2nd issue. It's a pretty good book. It's drawn by Jeff Shaw. They've worked together on all sorts of stuff. I think like God Country and Thanos and other stuff. And it's about an event that occurred in a comic book, like one of those super crisis events. And it crossed over from the comic book into the real world, and it really devastated Denver, Colorado. And there's this big sphere centered around Colorado, and none of the superheroes can get in or out. All of us in America really hate superheroes and think they're real pieces of shit for what they've done to us. Here we can see that superheroes are caged in. Look, that looks like Spawn's cape, and there's all sorts of other characters in there that you would think are, comic book people that you've seen in other mainstream books. And it also has a kind of kids in cages feel also, just a bit. And it's more like families in cages. But they're all from the superhero comic book universe. And our main characters are this girl, this woman that works in a comic book store, and the manager, and they found a kid who has somehow escaped, Denver, where the sphere is. And at the end of this issue, we find out that the little girl did not actually escape Denver, but escaped this prison here. And where the comic book girl and owner thought they were going to be helping her get back to her family, they're getting sucked into a bigger plot. And I think this is pretty good. But again, only 2 issues. So who can say that, this is going to be like a best of the year kind of category? It's really good looking. And Donny Cates is very popular. He has done some of the, I don't know. I mean, if you're looking at a secondary market or excitement within the comic book store, he's done a lot of comics that are really good. He's done Thanos, which just blew up, and the whole Cosmic Ghost Rider thing. And again, like I said, the secondary market is very good on that. He did Thor most recently. He's done Venom. Those prices, oh my gosh, for some of those. He had a bunch of, he had that big crossover, Absolute Carnage, and now he's doing King in Black. And even though we are selling more superheroes, comic books than we normally would sell, maybe like throughout, like in the old store when school was in session and a lot of students and a lot of families were coming in over the weekend, we'd sell a lot of things, but it wasn't always, X-Men, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. Those things did sell, but we sold Fables very, very well. We sold Sandman very well, Saga very well. Comics that are, not known to most people out there, we've done really well. Redneck, another, I think that's a Donny Cates book, is really good, and you should check it out. But it might not be Donny Cates. That might be Charles Soule. I can't remember. But he's done a lot of creator-owned comics, and he has brought a lot of his excitement for comic books into the superhero realm, and it's gotten a lot of people excited with anything that he's doing. I would recommend Crossover. I have 2 more issues, one of 1 and one of 2. If you're interested, you should come in and get that. plug. All right. Let's see. Let me show you this video. Hey, Mas! All right. I love that video. All right, we're going to share screen again. Here we go. Boom. I love this book, Teen Titans. It was written by Adam Glass and then most recently finished up by Robbie Thompson. It's now a dead series, but every issue that came out over the course of the last 2.5 years, I've really enjoyed. I love the characters and the characterizations. I love the art. Bernard Chang, I could understand where some people might not totally like every aspect of his drawings. There's some lip issues probably, but I really dig his stuff. These are 2 trades, the volume 2 and 3 of Adam Glass's run. Robbie Thompson's have yet to be collected. This one just came out not too long ago, and that's Lobo's daughter, and Lobo is coming to spank her. And I just love this artwork. It's just, how I was talking about how panel layouts are different. This guy's doing it different. He's going horizontal, and then he's going vertical. It's 8 panels. They're not symmetrical. It's just really cool, and it's exciting, and it tells the story the way it's supposed to be told. He does a really good job. Here you go. You go 1 long vertical, and then vertical going down in little squares. That's 2, 4, 6 panels again. 6 is a magic number for panels. 3 is probably too little, and you got to be really good for 9. Here's 3, 3, 3, 6, 9. There you go, 9. It's hard for me to count sometimes. All right. Again, 9. So much stuff, and not just faces. A lot of talking. The thing I liked best about Teen Titans is the characterization. Again, was really good. These are characters that respond to each other. Once you find out how they interact with each other, they continue to do so logically. There's smart, witty writing between the 2 writers. Adam Glass is excellent. I've enjoyed his Suicide Squad run when it was the New 52. Look at this pain in her eyes up in the face. Look at that furrowed brow. I don't like it. It's Here's the lip problem for me. It's kind of funky looking, but whatever. I love Teen Titans, and it's a shame that this one is ending, or has ended, actually. Oh, no, don't do that. Sorry, guys. Let me see. Okay, so this is a new series. We've talked about it on the show before. It's now had about 6 issues, so I think it's definitely something that should be considered for a book you should pay attention to. If you were ranking the books, there's a mainstream Strange Academy. It kind of fills the void for someone that maybe was reading Teen Titans. I don't know why I think Teen Titans is just one of those books that I still dig ever since like I was younger, and so I still read it every time, every once in a while when I think the story is, it's necessary, it's worthwhile. And most recently it has been. Strange Academy, same thing. Scotty Young, he's done a lot of art. He's writing. He's had a few books that he's written on his own that haven't had his illustrations. I think most recently was Deadpool. And here's Strange Academy. Humberto Ramos is doing the art. Oh, I started with this page. Here's some covers. I love Ramos. He's one of my faves. I partied with him in a San Diego hotel during the convention. Him and his buddies, me and my buddies, we just smoked cigarettes and drank beers and talked comic books and looked at each other's artwork and stuff like that. He had just done, I think, the Steel Annual, which was an Elseworlds annual, which was about Steel during, Civil War slave times. And he like frees all these slaves from the slave owner, and it's cool, man. It's I love that story, and Ramos did a really good job on that. He has a cartoony style, and not everybody likes it. I understand, but you're wrong. No, I'm just joking. He did. Ramos is him. He's kind of like a bit of a Bocciolo biter, but he's a little bit more anime. And also his stuff is a little bit lankier, but they definitely have worked together. Like on X-Men, it'd be like Ramos and then Bocciolo, and then Ramos and then Bocciolo, and it's, they work well. Here's that ad again. Oh yeah. It's got a lot of characters from Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is in it, obviously, because it's all about a magic school where all the magic veterans are teaching the kids. And here is what's her name? Esme or something like that. I can't remember. She was in Doctor Strange though. Introduced there. And just a really neat looking book. I like it a lot. A lot of new characters. Each issue is like a new character is being introduced. And again, it's probably one of those things. I mean, the first issue already is, but when this finally becomes one of those Disney TV shows, it's going to be a big deal. All right, let's go here. Copra. All right, Copra. So before the pandemic, Copra was on like its 4th issue, I think. And then everything shut down for a second. Of course, Michel Fiffe, the creator of this, does everything. But it was coming out through Image, and Image wasn't printing comic books at the time or publishing them or being distributed by Diamond. So everything was put on a pause, and a lot of people came back after the fact. And, some of these issues, 4, 5, and 6 are a little hard to come by. This is what 6 looked like. Michel said that he always wanted to do one of those large panel only. He says it in the book. You can read it if you get the issue. But he wanted to do like a Death of Superman type issue. So each page was wordless, and it was all just one big panel of art. And it looks pretty sweet, I think. And, at least he's the writer, so he doesn't have to bitch about the jerkiness thing that the writer made him have to go through. He has a lot of different styles kind of working in his work. I want to say he's like, actually, it's not really he has his own style, but he's borrowing from things that are reminiscent of comics past. So you see a lot of original Suicide Squad in a lot of these characters. In fact, the team is kind of like a government team that, anyway, you should read Copra. I got the trades. And there's a lot of different characters that are reminiscent. There's a shade the Changing Man, and Doctor Strange, and here's this dude in metal. I guess it could be either like an Iron Man or maybe an Alpha Flight's block. And there's this Orion looking dude. And yeah, just really cool. I like it a lot. And I really respect the fact that it's this dude doing it all on his own. And now he is doing it all on his own, not being published by Image, but only publishing himself for, people that know to order it. And if you want to order Copra, you can get it at my store because I'm ordering it from him. So that's what these last two issues. So that number 6 that he did post-COVID, and then starting over on 38 and 39, which is like legacy numbering. He does everything his own, but he's quite prolific. I think he does a really good job, and it really feels independent, and it feels mainstream-ish. It's everything I want in a comic book. It knows what it is, and it's unapologetic, and it's raw, and you don't want it to be anything other than that. And definitely Copra is high on my list when it comes to big books to check out. I think he does a really good job. For my nonfiction comic book, my graphic novel standalone, if I was an Eisner judge, I would put Pat Grant's The Grot as my number 1 book of the year. I think Pat Grant is wonderful. I love his illustrations. It's got that Adult Swim-y kind of style, but it's a little bit more than, it's more detailed and more thought out. And I hesitate. I don't know if you heard me. I hesitate to say Adult Swim, but I do love a lot of Adult Swim. So it's not like I'm trying to compliment it with something that people might know, but at the same time, it's way better than that. Although I can see this being something on there too. Pat Grant did Blue when we first opened. This was like one of my first orders, and Blue's wonderful and beautiful. And Dylan Horrocks thinks so. And if Dylan Horrocks thinks so, you should too. And I'm just showing you a few pages. I love this. This kid's going surfing, and it crosses over to this other page. Just neat. Yeah, Pat Grant. So he is telling the story about these two kids that are taking over the business from the mother. They're going to this really, to the Grot. And it's, it's it's the Wild West, I guess, in a post-apocalyptic looking place. Nothing's great or wonderful. Here are the kids getting their guides and the people that are going to help them on their adventures to sell yogurt. And it's really good. It's all about the grift. It's all about the people these meet, who you can trust, who you can't, who's wise, who has learned their lessons. It's just a wonderful book, and I hope I live long enough to see the second part of it, because I can't wait. Actually, I should hope that Pat Grant lives long enough to get the second one out. It doesn't matter about me. And so that would be my top book of anything that I read this year. Again, it's obviously been a strange year, and not everything's been coming out so on the nose, on the spot, where how it's supposed to come out. There's been a lot of things folding, and a lot of things coming out digitally that I'm not really paying attention to. There's crowd-funded books like Octobriana that I got. That one's excellent. I would highly recommend that for people that are out there. That you should definitely check out crowdfunding. There's a lot of good comic books out there. There's a lot of crap, but you know what? It's not mainstream, and there's a lot of people that are opposed to mainstream, and I understand. And even Image doesn't feel so different these days. In fact, so many, it's like if you want an independent book, it's always got to be horror or some sci-fi thing. There was new this year, we only see them when they when they die. That's what it is. And that was an interesting book. Something is Killing the Children, Once and Future are newer books. They have a little bit of different something going on, but even Something is Killing the Children is pretty much a horror book. Almost anything from Vault or Scout is either going to be sci-fi or horror or some combination. IDW is either doing some franchise or some horror comic book. Dark Horse is almost always horror comic books now that they lost almost every franchise comic. And one of them they have is Stranger Things. So there's even the lower, even when you go farther down the list, you're seeing still more of the same type thing. And I don't have that sense of wonderment from a whole lot of comics that I don't have different real diversity, of style and thought. And it's a shame. I feel that The Grot, though, is definitely one of those types of books that is out there. We just need more Johnny Ryan. We need more, Lisa Hannawalt. She's excellent. She doesn't do really, for the most part, long form narrative. So again, it would be really hard for me to put her in like a best of category unless it was like something very specific. I didn't read the newest Megan Mogg book, which is Simon Hanselman. Simon Hanselman does this book called Megan Mogg, and those are two characters, and I just umbrella any of his books as Megan Mogg. But I think the newest one was called Seeds and Stems. And every character in his books are horrible sacks of shit to each other. Know how we were talking about Seinfeld? They're like Seinfeld, but way, way worse. And there's a lot of drinking and drugs going on. And it's super funny. And I highly recommend it. And I've got it in the store. So just come on in and say, hey, Megan Mogg. And I'm like, yeah, I love that stuff. So maybe I should have had that in consideration. Did not read it. Assume it's going to be good anyway. I just want something that makes me want to read the comic book again. Not because there was some real long story that I didn't really need to read a whole bunch of the issues to really get the idea of what was going on. And all those little nuts and bolts aren't very important. But this comic book, month in and month out, is always a great comic book. And kind of what I was talking about. And it really doesn't matter if you're a Green Lantern fan or a superhero fan or a cop fan or, a Grant Morrison fan. All right, maybe it matters if you're a Grant Morrison fan. Thankfully, I am. He always does the weirdest, strangest, most thoughtful stories, especially when concerning the past, in an updated style, not in a way that is going to destroy what has gone on before, but is going to make sense for today's reader. Case in point, there was always the talk in DC comic books of mother boxes. And I'm like, God, this mother box. It always goes ping, 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 ping. And Orion's holding this mother box and ping, 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 ping. And he talks to it and it talks back, ping, 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 ping. It's like R2 without the different sounds. And it opens up a boom tube so they can travel from like Apocalypse to wherever. So, all right, it's a little bit of a thing that they talk to, and basically and maybe this is technology actually syncing up with Kirby. But Grant Morrison in Final Crisis is like, mother box, and some nobody's like, mother box, what's a mother box? And they're like, think of an iPhone but really souped up, Oh, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. So he can really bring yesterday's concepts today. In All-Star Superman, he did that. They're the giant key, and this thing is giant. I mean, who else but Superman could lift this giant key that has to be flown up to this keyhole so that he can open the door to the Fortress of Solitude? Well, in All-Star Superman, what Grant Morrison does is he's like, oh, no, this is a key made from a dwarf star. And dwarf star is really heavy. He lifts it up off the ground, and there's a crack in the ground where it had been sitting. He just leaves it on his doorstep because there's nobody that's going to pick it up and put it in the keyhole. So, he does things like that. And he has like really crazy concepts that sometimes he only spends like a panel on. And this is issue number 2 that you're looking at right here. If you go to the home page of the Fantastic Comics channel here on YouTube, you will see the highlighted video is me and a customer, Max, talking about this issue. I thought it was such an interesting issue that it really deserved a closer and a thoughtful conversation about it. And there's so many neat things about it. I highly recommend you check that one out. I love Liam Sharp's work. He's the artist on this. Liam Sharp is this is like the work of his career. And if you follow him on Twitter, you'll know that he knows that. And I screwed up one time when I had a comic creator and artist come in, and I wanted to say something like really profound to them. start the night off right, and just really say something eloquent. And I basically asked them how they got so lucky to work with all these great creators, these writers. And that person was like, well, how did that person, how did those great writers get so lucky to work with me? And I knew I stepped in it. And I didn't write course any time during that night. So Liam Sharp is excellent. And personally, I think I'd rather see Liam Sharp's work than that other person who does fine illustrations. But Liam Sharp is knocking out of the park on a monthly basis, and he is killing it. And he is matching Grant Morrison in ways that most people can't. And they have great coloring in it. And sometimes it's even Liam Sharp that's doing the coloring. And like I said, he just really matches the craziness of Grant Morrison's style and sense of wonderment that goes on in this Green Lantern comic book month in and month out. And it's going to be sad that by the 12th issue that this is going to be over. I highly recommend you get the collections if you haven't. I definitely have some issues you should check out. Some of these that I'm showing you right here. Oh, look at that. And then these last two, oh yeah, this kind of reminds me like a Rick and Morty, this nurse here. And look at these two covers, both done by Liam Sharp, and both a little different. And like I said, Liam Sharp has done the coloring on some of the issues. So he's done it on 10, whereas Steve Oliff, who is a master in comics, he does the art and or the coloring art in most of the other issues. So I would personally think that Green Lantern is my top comic book of the year. I love reading it, and I think it's one that most people should read it. Hal Jordan is a pretty darn good Green Lantern. He's the classic, he's Hal. He's the cop, he's the cop. He's the Green Lantern's Green Lantern. He's the copyist cop. And he just is really good. Okay, here we go. We got Eric D. saying, just finished reading season 1 and 2 and the Black Stars 3-issue series. Yeah, isn't it? Again, 2 more issues to go and it will be over. But The Black Stars is included in the collection of the book that just came out also. So there's a lot of great stuff in there. And I really am wondering what Grant Morrison is going to be doing going forward. I know that we talked about the Berserker. No, hold on. What was it called? Shoot. It was the Cyberzerker. All right, here it is. Hold on. So let me get a drink here. All right. So Cyberzerker, you can go on Kickstarter. It's Donny Cates. Oh my gosh, Donny Cates. And this guy named Ian, and this is all from the top of my head, Bedgerin or something like that. He is a tattoo artist, and they did a tomahawk together. He is a tattoo artist that does his own characters on people, and it's the tomahawk. And with Donny Cates, they have this story that goes along with him, and it's wild, and it's metal. It's super metal, man. And it's pretty darn cool, and it's going to come back out again. But they did this action figure. Let me see if I can find it. They did this action figure, and I think Grant Morrison is involved in like one of the perks or something like that. Let me see. Cyberzerker. I hope it's not done already. Here we go. Let's see. All right. So I don't know if I told you all, but I'm probably going to cut this a little shorter than normal since I don't have anybody to bounce anything off of too much. Boom. There we go. Cyberzerker. Oh, there you go. Ian Betterman. I was pretty good on that. I'll give myself let's see. Grant Morrison, a Tomahawk comic download. March of 21. Holy cow. But it's like got all these that's the guy. Look at that, a tomahawk. And it's pretty cool. I dig it. There you go. Oh yeah, I'm ready. I love how they add on these pages, and they've got this person to work on it. And I'm like, well, how'd you get that if you didn't already have it ready to go? There's some tattoos of a tomahawk. I don't know. Which one do you think I should get? I'm still pretty much okay with like that cat eating the just like the stars. Oh, stop. You ain't getting no tattoos, Yule. You know that. So anybody that's coming to the store tomorrow, remember, I do not have a diamond shipment. Hopefully it comes in the morning, but more than likely it's not going to come until the evening or until we're closed. So come in on Thursday to get new comics that aren't DC only. There are some good DC comics that came out. Don't forget Ginny Hex. We were just talking about that. That one was good. The Batman Annual is excellent. I've already read it. I took video of it. It's got beautiful James Stokoe artwork. And the finishing up of the Endless Winter, Daniel Warren Johnson does one of the secondary covers. Oh, darn. That's right. Oh, I had one more comic book to share. I forgot. Let me see. Hold on. Hold on one second. I forgot. I wanted to do mini-series also. Where the hell is that? Oh, maybe I don't have it. I did have it, guys. I swear. Oh, well. It's no big deal. I just wanted to, let you know about the coolest comic book in the world, but I don't have it right here. I thought I did. Let me just see. Can't be that. I know this is great video. Let me play a video for you so that you can not be bored while I do this. Oh, it's not really in the description down below.
What are you wearing, kid? Greenhorn, what are you, blind or something? If you're going to dress like every other curtain jerker here in Chattanooga, jerking the curtain off the wall and wearing it, this plan's never going to work. You need to dress more like the swing man with style, class.
I'll put it in the description afterwards. That's for the Wrestling Council, a show that I'm a part of. This Thursday, we're going to be running down our best of list. It is 6 o'clock on the Pacific, 9 o'clock on the East. It's on the Talkin' Vols Network. And if you're a wrestling fan, you should definitely come by. This is going to be a big deal for us, you know, for the 30 or 40 people that normally come in. If we can get 50 people, we'll be giving away a Funko Pop of Andre the Giant, which is worth like $40 or $50 now. So just come on in, and at any time we hit 50, I think we're going to stop the show right there, have we bells and whistles, and then give that thing away. But again, if you're into wrestling, you should definitely check that out. I think we're pretty, we say some pretty interesting things, and we're not like too crazy. We're pretty reverential, and we like the sport, so to speak. Just there's not always, there's always something to complain about, especially when you're talking about mainstream comics. I mean, mainstream wrestling. I mean, the mainstream. Yeah. Let's see here. So yeah, I don't have it. I'm sorry. That was the best laid plan situation. Wonder Woman Dead Earth was my miniseries of the year by Daniel Warren Johnson. He's the writer and the artist of that. He is going to be doing Thor. No, I'm sorry. Beta Ray Bill. Look at that. Beta Ray Bill next year. I want that to be my #1 comic book that I sell next year. I would love to make that miniseries my top selling book for the whole year. It's going to be 5 issues. I know it's going to be great. I know it. This is like a tomahawk. If you like a tomahawk, you're going to like this. If you like Thor, you're going to like this. If you like action and heavy metal and axes and heads, you're going to like this book. If you like independent comic books and people that do it on their own, this is if you're a Michelle Fife fan, Copra, this is it for you too. This is like, it's going to be mainstream, but it's going to be super awesome. I know this. I highly recommend you go to your store, wherever you shop for comics, and you say, I want this comic book. I want the Daniel Warren Johnson cover. I don't care about the whatever other cover, unless he does it. And look at this. Look, this is one that he did for somebody on a blank cover comic book. Look at that. It's so sweet. And he does this kind of stuff all the time. He does recreations of scenes, and he doesn't do it in such a way that it's like, oh, that's just his version of the same thing I've already seen. He does it from different angles. There was this one I saw of the Return of the, Empire Strikes Back scene where Luke's getting all that shit flung at him, right, by Darth Vader. And he does it from like a different angle. And it's just super great. He has done like Batman Year One pictures and Galactus and Silver Surfer stuff that I have like, screenshotted on my phone. It's just, he is a spectacular talent. And this is definitely the book that should be super great for him. And it should be super great for my store because it's going to be super great. It's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that one. Of all the things next year, that's probably unless I find out that Grant Morrison is going to be doing something I really got to read, more than just a Kickstarter comic book. Beta Ray Bill is the top. Spider-Man's going to be getting a brand new suit, everybody. That's not anything. Who cares? This is going to be the thing, and it should be. I'm really looking forward to it, at least for Marvel. Obviously, anytime Copra comes out next year is going to be an event. Anytime a crowdfunded comic book comes out next year. We're going to be getting Sean Gordon Murphy's Plot Holes in the store. I ordered 5 for the store. Ahead of time. A year ahead of time. I already paid for the money. I already paid the money for it. So if you're a Sean Gordon Murphy fan, can't wait. It's going to be like in March, I hope. And I think he was ahead of schedule, as Sean Gordon Murphy is. He's a talented guy. When he's writing and drawing his own work, it almost always is great, all the way through. His Batman has been excellent. His Curse of the White Knight, all that stuff. Barry Windsor Smith's Monsters is, I wonder if I can still get that. I can't remember if it was like an early order or not. Barry Windsor Smith is interesting. If you want to see an ode to Barry Windsor Smith, you should check out King Conan that came out last week. Steve McNiven does the first storyline, and it's like Steve McNiven doing his best Barry Windsor Smith, and it's really good. Another book I was going to talk about that I wasn't able to this year, that came out this year, are any of the Cimmerian miniseries, especially the Red Nails one, going back to Barry Windsor Smith. They do a very nice job on that, and it's beautiful. It's in a collected form also, which I have at the store. And Moby's right. Beta Ray Bill does rule. When he took that hammer from Thor, I was like, no way. This horse face this will not stand, I said. And then he beat him in the lava pits. I'm like, this guy's a stud. And then Sif goes and gets a hammer made for him, Stormbreaker. And they've just ruined Stormbreaker in the movies. And good. I can still pre-order it. All right, excellent. Anybody that's into Barry Windsor Smith and wants to get that Monsters graphic novel, you can still pre-order it from the Fantastic Comics. Just come on in or call or email. It's all that stuff I told you about earlier. Beta Ray Bill, man. Moby, you and I sometime, we should just talk about that 337, right? That's when it happened. When Beta Ray Bill just kicked the shit out of Thor. That was awesome. I read all of that stuff. Walt Simonson. I probably had never really read Thor before that. There were the 2 Dracula issues that Bill Sienkiewicz did the covers for. And I really liked those. And my pops read them. But even though I read a lot of stuff that he read, like Conan, Savage Sword had boobs, so it's a little bit extra. I was never really into Thor because all the these and the thys and the these and the nays, But Simonson came and didn't really write that way for the most part. But God, his art. At first, it was very jarring to read a Walt Simonson book, but those were the days. He does Ragnarok now. It comes out from time to time. He does some covers for Thor or other books that I think he's doing X-Men Legacy, I think is what it's called. There's going to be a new series. Maybe I'm excited about that. They led with Fabian Nicieza, though, and I'm not exactly sure if that's like my classic writer that I think about when I think about X-Men stories, but basically they're taking old dudes and they're letting them do some X-Men books that may or may not deal with any of the Hickman stuff that's going on. I think it's may not, because they want to get that whole idea that, hey, this is the X-Men, like, you used to like them, so if you don't read them now, you're going to read these then, but now. And it'll have guys like Nicieza and Chris Claremont, I think, will be doing some stories. Brett Booth is doing art. This guy I remember following and have been on some shows with on Twitter every day this year for like 200, 300 days. He kept saying, hey, at Marvel, hey, Akira Tozawa, what was his name? CC Zabolski. Hey, whoever, ex-editor. Brett Booth, this is the day one of the year that I'm going to be bitching about you giving him an X-Men job, Brett Booth. And he did this like every day. I don't know if that helped, but he got the job to do some issues of not only Hickman's run, but also this classic X-Men run. So there you go. Your voice can be heard on Twitter. You just got to be persistent. So there you go. 3 great things about Twitter, or 3 things about Twitter that I talked about. Come on in to the comic store tomorrow. Unless you want your new Marvel, that'll probably be on Thursday. You can always call ahead and make sure I hold something for you if you're not sure if you're getting it. Definitely go to your local comic store if you haven't been in a long time. I bet they would be happy to see you, even if you did the unimaginable and stiffed your store with a couple of books. But yeah, go back, get some comics, maybe one of the ones I talked about here. Green Lantern for sure. If you're lucky enough to find your store has the Grot, I recommend that. And if you're really lucky, they have Blue. Doubtful, but I would recommend those. Cimmerian. Conan is a great read, but the Cimmerian ones are taking the original stories and doing miniseries based on them. And since it's public domain now, as long as you just don't say Conan the Barbarian, anybody could be publishing these books. But I don't know if we need a bunch of people telling red nails all the time. Or maybe you should just be a company that only does red nails. All right, it's these 2 people telling red nails right now. And then next time it'll be these people telling red nails. And I got Bendis on this book, so it'll be a 12-part epic about red nails. That's what could happen. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will definitely be live next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Hopefully I'll have a co-host. I'm not exactly sure how comic book total, how extremely comic book it will be. If Jeff is on, we might continue the idea of our best of list. But, wait. Eric, you're right. Eternal Gillen, and not only that, but Koipel is doing not Koipel. Ribic is doing the artwork. Assad. So hopefully he, since it's been delayed a few times, is getting some of it done. It was supposed to coincide with the movie, and that was, of course, supposed to coincide with movie theaters being open everywhere. So it's a little bit of a shame. I am sort of looking forward to it. I've never really been a big Eternals fan, but there have been good things in the past. Case in point, Thor, I think it was 292 to 300. There was a great Eternal saga, I think is what they call that. And then, of course, there's the Neil Gaiman one. Yeah, so there you go. There's some Eternals right there. But yeah, Gillen, seeing him do some mainstream stuff. It's always nice when someone that is not always mainstream and hasn't been for a while goes back and does something. They're bringing a little bit of sass with them and a little bit of, I'm still a I've done all my creative sowing my seeds. Now I'm going to take all that. I'm going to bring it to the mainstream. And I'm like, all right, can't wait. I've heard that Dye is good. The art kind of turns me off, even though I respect it. And I like McKelvey more than I liked Wictive, but I totally understand where people are coming from. I kind of liken it to how I felt. Seeing people read that reminds me of how I felt when I was reading Sandman back in the day. But even though I can become a guy, I can be a guy that reads independence. Again, my problem is, what is an independent these days? There's a lot of sameness from the third company all the way down to the seventh company. Even if you just, anyway, I already said that. So yeah, but it's going to be nice to see Karen Gillan come back and do something mainstream and big, something important. I would like to see bigger talents come back to the mainstream again, please, because Spider-Man's been good, but I mean, I'm going to say that as a catch-all. Spider-Man needs you. Superman needs you, and we need them putting forth their best efforts so that, it's nice when a Copra comes out, but it doesn't come out all the time. It's been almost 2 years since Saga, my #1 book, has come out. And when it does come back again, will it be a #1 book again? I don't know. But every month, the Immortal Hulk comes out. And every month it's good. And Captain America comes out. And Black Panther comes out. Well, you hope, but these books come out, and these are the ones that fill the gaps between all those other things that are super special. So seeing somebody come on that's of note on these characters, that makes that special again. I know Marvel really has a problem with the idea that, they're creating stars that aren't their characters, but they got to get over it. They just got to get over it. They can't just only want to have a couple of guys that are good guys. And I say guys, of course, it's just a catch-all again. But if you want, you can't just have some people that are, good, and then all the other people are just there. Why isn't Chris Claremont writing a comic book? There are people out there that want to see that. Why do you only get Walt Simonson for a cover? There's people out there that want to see him. I know you don't want to spend a lot of money, but you're the main company that makes all the money. Why don't you want to spend the money since you're already making all of it? Dollars. I mean, DC spends money. It looks like they're contracting a bit, but they've got creators. They've got people that have jobs in other areas that are getting paid money to do this stuff. They gave Bendis a big contract, whether it was good or bad, they gave it to him. There's a lot of people that have big contracts because of that. They have really good illustrators. Ivan Reis has been working on Superman for like 3 years now. Doug Mahnke is still in the company. He's an excellent illustrator that can go anywhere and work. There's a lot of people that can go anywhere and work, and sometimes are, but they're not going to Marvel for the most part. And now I'm like totally bagging on Marvel. I was going to sign off. But I mean, it's the main companies, they are the ones, how they act within the comic book community, maybe not the industry, how they fare is how everybody else fares. I mean, this is trickle down as best as it's going to get. And, IDW is stronger if Marvel is stronger. I mean, Jesus, they're licensing out their characters. You would think like, oh, if I was licensing out, the kids' version of Spider-Man, hopefully Spider-Man would be a big deal, Oh, you've got a parent that really likes Spider-Man, and now they can get their kid into the kids' one. Instead, the parent isn't even reading Spider-Man, and neither is the kid. And now I'm licensing out this thing that nobody cares about. Or maybe they do. I don't think the sales are, it's not like grocery store sales when you had those, Disney books at the counter. Oh, well, I read, yeah, I mean, like I said, I said before, Sandman, thank God for Sandman. Sandman was like, Sandman and Wicked and Divine. These are books, when you still want to be cool with people out there, these are the books you read. I would say, these are the books I'd read when I wanted to get laid still and still have a chance of getting laid. Sandman, something a little thoughtful. Something you might have seen on Roseanne, other than maybe even Superman dying. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will see you next Tuesday. Check this channel. If you haven't subscribed, do so. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the show. Also hit the bell for notifications so you can find out when we have another video coming up. We are definitely going to be doing more videos, maybe even more than live shows. So beware. Next year is going to be funky. See y'all later. Bye.